Yo, welcome, my friends, to today's AI Music Report. Today, I've got a special episode for you. Those of you who are fans of the gentleman on the screen, great actor, 76-year-old Academy Award winner, cancer survivor, COVID survivor. Well, we're talking about none other than Jeff Bridges. And he sat down on one of the biggest podcasts in America, and guess what he pulled out of the bag? None other than Suno. And you already know that this guy, he's an accomplished musician. He sings, he plays singers and musicians in some of his casts. And this report is going to break down the moment that Jeff brought Suno out of the hat, why his context matters, the sentiment analysis, and the hater playbook. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into what Jeff Bridges said about Suno, you need to understand who Jeff Bridges actually is. He's not just an actor. This is a man who in 2020 felt a lump in his abdomen during a workout and almost brushed it off. His wife, Sue, pushed him to get it checked. It was a 9 by 12-inch tumor. While undergoing chemotherapy, he contracted COVID with no immune system to fight it. 5 weeks hospitalized, nearly put on a ventilator. He couldn't stand for more than 45 seconds. And he told AARP in 2023 that the obstacle was death. And that was the way. He said he fought by surrendering, giving in to love, not giving up. That's the man who pulled out Suno on the Theo Vaughn's podcast. So you got to understand who this guy is. He don't give a care. A man who's already looked death in the face and danced with it. You think he cares what Risky Riff thinks? Of course he doesn't. Now here's what happened. 26th of June on Theo Vaughn's podcast this past weekend, the conversation had been flowing between marriage, Zen, Buddhism, Big Lebowski theories, and sobriety. And then Bridges just opened his laptop, named Suno by name, walked through the prompt to song pipeline live. I'm going to put a link below so that you watch this video. He played a track he built with his daughter, older daughter, Jessie, about his wife, Sue. And you could tell as he's playing this for Theo, he's moved. He's singing the words. You got to understand, this guy has musical talent. So, so much for the talentless scum narrative. This is not who Jeff Bridges is. He's a madly, wildly artistic and talented guy. Very compelling in his acting and got a great singing voice. So when he's playing this, you can see he's enjoying it and he's actually singing along, singing on pitch and key. At one point, Theo joins in and says, "This reminds me of church," and he's trying to harmonize. You got to watch the video. I'm going to put it below. But 3 key quotes are what went viral. First, it's very frightening, man. He wasn't even selling it. He was being real. Secondly, he said, all the guys in Nashville are using it now. Now, you got to understand his background. This is the kind of music he plays without Suno, like country, right? Bluesy feel, right? It's got this really husky voice. So he also said, all the guys in Nashville are using it now. Instead of paying $10,000 for studio session, they can do this for nothing. That one sentence, that ignited the music community. And third, that's just what's happening. Not the future. This is now. Wow. That is the most significant quote because coming from Jeff Bridges, that lands. Jeff said, well, the same buzz that you get from doing all the work and all the grinding before you get a number 1 hit or before you get, an output that you really feel, oh, I really worked for this and you love it. He said, it's not a cakewalk doing this either. You still got to work in a different way. It's a different skill set because we've never done this before. Wow. He opened the portal for those for and those against. And this is going to be a topic for years to come. Now, let's talk reach. Theo is quite the character, right? Very animated. This past weekend is one of the most downloaded podcasts in America. His audience is not Silicon Valley, it's regular, curious, often working class Americans, recovery community members, and comedy fans, people who watch the UFC. That's the audience that Suno needs to go from 2 million paid subscribers to 20 million. Because people are going to be saying, what's Jeff talking about? Let's go look into it. And the messenger matters enormously. And Jeff Bridges isn't a tech bro. He is not being paid. He is a 76-year-old Academy Award winner who plays guitar. He writes songs. He survived cancer. I don't give a care what anyone has to say. Tough dude, right? Survived COVID. When that person opens a laptop and says, hey, this is what I use. This is what I use to create a song for my wife that touches me. Are you kidding me? People are listening. The clip, it spread everywhere simultaneously. And this tells you this was not a planned campaign. This was genuine reach. And this just comes on the heels of the Suno Spark announcement, which is even crazier because people now feel validated that someone of Jeff's caliber is speaking highly of Suno like this and is not being a Debbie Downer. What's wrong with me? People are going to be asking themselves. Before the sentiment analysis that I conducted, I want you to understand this. The business picture. Suno is not a scrappy startup. They're not like a starving company trying to get noticed. They raised $400 million in June this year, right? Just some weeks ago at a $5.4 billion valuation, more than double their November 2025 valuation of $2.45 billion. So we're talking about $300 million in annual recurring revenue. Go think about that. 2 million paid subscribers, 7 million songs generated every single day. Warner Music Group sued them for $500 million and then signed a partnership deal. When I hear the likes of Scissor saying, oh, you're disgusting if you use AI, I'm like, you need to go talk to your record labels, right? Because the record label that you're affiliated with, go talk to them. So think about what this tells you about Suno, the label that filed the biggest copyright lawsuit against an AI music platform, decided a licensing partnership was better than winning in court. UMG and Sony, they're still fighting and they're going to have their day coming up in the next 30 plus days. But the direction of travel is being established. Now, here's a sentiment breakdown. On the pro side, Suno's own Reddit community was mostly excited. They said, finally, mainstream coverage. Music producers who already use Suno for demos, they felt vindicated. And of course, there are a lot of underground Suno bedroom producers who are actually well-known mainstream, but they ain't coming out. They're using Suno in the closet, and they're going back to replace Suno instruments. We know the tricks. But music producers who already use Suno for demos felt vindicated. Non-musicians said they were immediately downloading the app. And this is the conversion event Suno needs. This is the come to Suno event. In the middle, Bridges himself was not a cheerleader, right? We could say he was also skeptical. And this is how you can understand this isn't unrehearsed. Because he got all excited and then he said, very frightening. That's not an advert that Suno put out through him, of course. Use your common sense. He did acknowledge it was very frightening, that this was crazy. Now, Theo, like I said, pushed back and asking whether AI music holds the same value. One particular user, Whiskey Riff, called it shameless promotion. The sharpest musician critique, the $10,000 savings comes directly out of human musicians and engineers' pockets. Well, go make what you will of that. Like, honestly, like when I recorded my albums back in the day, before Suno, yeah, I would spend tens of thousands of dollars. But now, to get the same style or feel, I can get that using a smaller number of real humans. And it is what it is, like Jeff said. So it's not necessarily coming out of people's pockets because I wouldn't even spend that $10,000 to begin with on every project. I might spend it on some, but not all. Now I don't need to spend it on every single project. And we shouldn't begrudge people for that. Personally, I don't think we need to guilt trip people. You could have given this money to a bunch of artists. No, you can still do that, but you may not have to do it on every single project, right? And I understand people's perspectives. That's a fair point from their lens. But again, it doesn't make the people who refuse to spend $10,000 the bad guy, if you get what I'm saying. Jeff reminds me of myself. When I saw Suno for the first time in action based on my prompt, I had exactly the same reaction that Jeff had on that podcast. When I heard an AI song for the first time, I was shocked and a little bit frightened, as I've told you on this channel, and then completely fascinated. The difference between Jeff Bridges and the critics is this. Bridges comes to Suno as a songwriter. He wrote about Sue, right? That's his wife. His daughter helped with the concept. That's her mom. The personal story, the emotional content, the creative intent, all human. He was singing along with a song, so this isn't a song he's detached from. Suno was a production engine, and that is exactly what I've always said in my Phil Aim framework, right? The songwriter leads, AI serves, not AI leads and the human approves. So think about Jeff facing death, COVID, cancer, the worst of disease, was in a hospital bed for 5 weeks, unable to stand more than 45 seconds, with COVID eating through him. While his immune system was wiped out by chemo, he came back. He walked his daughter down the aisle. He finished The Old Man. And now he's on Theo's show, playing a Suno track about his wife. A man who has done that is not afraid of Whiskey Riff and all the other negatives that are out there. So 6 things that you need to monitor going forward. UMG and Sony lawsuits, the WMG deal, right? That was the opening act. These are going to be the main event. Suno's license model. The real question is whether license training changes output, not just legal exposure. The celebrity adoption curve. Who follows Jeff? Who follows Mr. Bridges? I guess we're going to find out. Which established artist normalized the tool publicly? Nashville professional use, not demo buzz. Actual sustained commercial use at scale. The scissor Diplo AI drama already signals that the creator community backlash is intensifying. And for every musician and songwriter watching this, the Phil Aim question. Where are you in the hierarchy? Are you at a level 0, a level 1, a level 2, a level 3? Are you at a level 4? If I am jamming my lead guitar behind an AI generated back-end, but I am the lead, is that the same? Equated to, oh, it's just AI slop for music that is totally generated without any human involvement? You got to ask that question. Where are you in the hierarchy? Or you could ask the question, are you totally hands-off, AI autonomous, or is there always truly a human in the loop when the music comes out, even if it's a very lazy, lame prompt, as we could describe it? So, Jeff Bridges at 76, surviving non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after surviving COVID with no immune system, after lying on a hospital bed and not able to stand for 45 seconds, after fighting by surrendering to love. That man sat down on Theo Von's podcast, opened up Suno, not because he was paid, not because he was told to, because he uses it and it impacted him and he created music that he loved and his wife loved. Family moments. You see, the family moments don't care whatever the skeptics say. This is what the skeptics need to understand. You can have your perspective, but don't try to impose it on someone else whose life has been radically enriched by it. And stop saying stealing until it is called theft, because Suno, Sony, and UMG will have their way in court. And when a 76-year-old cultural icon with nothing left to prove opens up a laptop on a 75 million listener podcast and plays an AI song about his wife, that is not disruption anymore. That is arrival, my friends. And this has been the AI Intelligence Report podcast. Thank you for joining me. I'm curious to know what you think. Respectfully, drop me a comment. See you in the next one.